Hello everyone, and welcome to the weekly recap of the PUBG Mobile World League West Season 0. I'm Jason Kaplan. I've been hosting the event for up till now, and hopefully, well, for the next weeks to come as well. And it's my job here for you to recap everything that's went on within our first week of play. Now, we did talk about on the show quite a few times. There's two different sections happening. We have the league play across 2 different days that leads into the top 16 teams moving on into the Super Weekend. And to brush up what happened earlier on in the week, we're going to start off by looking at the league play and see which teams did, in fact, make it through into our next section of play. You can see Cloud9 already topping the bat with their 2 chicken dinners and their 121 points. But what the important part is, looking down this list, we can see Loops Esports have really shown up big, getting the most kills out of any other team, and actually more kills than some teams even got points in total. We had teams like Team Unique stepping up, B4 Esports stepping up, Footballists, who unfortunately came up short when it came to chicken dinners, and even Konina Power, who on day 1 were at the bottom of the table. But going into day 2, they came up massive and got themselves out of that top 16 and into it so they can play within the Super Weekend. Let's take a look at the second page. You can see the other teams who made it through, and unfortunately, the 4 who didn't. We had Yala Esports, Team Queso, Dream Eaters, Alpha Legends, Team Umbra, and Urdu Killers. Those bottom 2 teams did make it through within the final day, within the final games as well. And if you guys missed out on that, make sure you guys head back and check it out. But unfortunately, Frag Machines, SWAT 69, Headquarters, and KHK Esports had to spend the entire Super Weekend watching from the sidelines. But what this means is they're not out just yet. They can come into next week into the league play and try to get into the top 16 so they have a chance to play in our second Super Weekend. And speaking of the Super Weekend, let's take a look at the results from the very first one that we had that spanned across 3 different days. And yet again, you're seeing Cloud9 maintain that #1 position with the 133 placement points, 2 chicken dinners, and of course the 213 points total. The only team to breach the 200-point threshold when it comes to the West League. You can see Footballists in there with 3 chicken dinners, though they had a rough time in some of their matches. But the important ones I'm going to point out to you. You remember Dream Eaters before? They were not looking too hot within the league play. Here they came up with 3 chicken dinners and a ton of placement points beyond that, tying up Loops Esports, who is the only team in the top 5 who have not gotten a chicken dinner, and the only team to have more kills than placement points. Loop Esports, the Brazilians, have come in strong into the first Super Weekend. Yes, they didn't get the qualification points, but they got the kills and they got the points in the end where it mattered with some really high placings. Looking down the rest of the list, we can see B4 Esports. They unfortunately did not get a chicken dinner either. However, they came up with, in the first 2 days of play, 4 second place finishes to really set themselves up nicely into the future Super Weekend weeks. Let's take a look now at the second page. You can see how the other 6 teams did do. And we can see here off the bat, Team Umbra, again, getting off the bottom of the table, working their way up to a higher ranking, finishing off at number 11. But Konina Power, we talked about them before. We talked about how on day 1 in league play, they didn't perform. Day 2, they came up big. Unfortunately, what they could muster up today was not going to be enough in the end of things, and they were not able to get out of that 16th place. But the upside is, that doesn't matter, right? Because their points accumulate throughout the next 3 weeks. League points are the only ones that reset on our Tuesday and Wednesdays. But we also have to take a look now at our top team when it came to damage. And you probably guessed it, looking at the kills alone, it's got to be Loops Esports, led by Creel. 37,000 damage. They have come out of the gates swinging, looking for fights whenever they could take it. And of course, the 186 kills and the 186 knockouts. That's a very important number considering most teams out there have less kills than knockouts. But generally, this team, I guess up until the last day of Super Weekend, were a team who did have more kills than knockouts, showing they like to fight, they like to get in your face, they like to look for those kills, and they definitely want to look for those third parties. So now for me, I'm curious which of their players made it into the top 10 overall within the first week of play. We'll put up on your screen so you can see. And Carrillo, well, there you go. He got a massive amount of kills, leading the way at 65. He really showed everyone out there that Brazil has come to play, and most definitely Loops Esports as well. Adder, he's the newest addition to Cloud9, coming in from the old Team Unique. He had the most nade kills at 7, but also had 57 kills for himself. But then you look down the list. You got Dadine in there as well. You got Tensa, you got Matic, you got Miku. 2 big players coming in for Dream Eaters, who again didn't have the strongest performance when it came to league play. Even Soulk making it in there. So we see multiple people from Footballists, you see multiple people from Dream Eaters, multiple people from Loops Esports, multiple people even from Cloud9. And the last one I want to talk about here, of course, is Axel in 10th place for Team Queso, who had Well, a really disappointing performance over the entirety of the Super Weekend, but he was able to really show that Team Queso has it where it counts. They have it where it matters, and hopefully he can carry his team into victory next weekend, or next week, actually. They have to get into the Super Weekend throughout our league play. But let's dive a little bit deeper into our top 4 performers, as we saw there. Carrillo, again, massive amount of kills, massive amount of damage, but Adder, you really have to give him credit. He's behind by 5 kills, but he's only behind by about 250 damage. He has been able to put in so much work and a fantastic addition to the Cloud9 roster. Looking on later on, you see Araum, he's got the 48 kills and 9.7k damage, and Dadin as well. I mean, look at that alone. Carrillo and Dadin, about 20k damage between the 2 players alone on Loops Esports, and I can almost say with a certainty that these 2 have done more damage together than probably a lot of the teams out there over the course of our entire Super Weekend. And that was our top 4 players from the very first Super Weekend, and that leads me to wonder who's going to be the MVP. And honestly, out there, you guys should all know who's the MVP. I knew even while we were playing and watching the matches live here at the stage, it's got to be Carrillo. And why would it be? He had an average survival time of 20 minutes across the 15 matches played within the Super Weekend, as well as 31 total kills. But that damage, that's what's really getting to me. 6k damage was insane out of him. And honestly, if he keeps this up, he might be the MVP every single week. However, I think everyone out there is going to be gunning for him with a big bullseye on his back, looking for that #1 spot throughout the next Super Weekend. But obviously, if you guys missed out on the action, luckily for you, we have a chance to get you hyped up and ready to go for week 2. More importantly, get you caught up what all went down here on the very first Super Weekend of the PUBG Mobile World League.